The last 5 or 6 weeks, he's been joining us once a week to talk about the upcoming show. And tonight, it's going to be Mind Control, the Brain Invaders, 10 o'clock Central on True TV, if they don't move the show again, dealing with the declassification of mind control. Pretty powerful information, and I couldn't think of a better time to discuss this. Our listeners are chomping at the bit with the police reports of multiple shooters and his dad being a high-level banking executive with General Electric and their banking division, and the mother having shadowy ties and, you know, multimillionaires, and the reports that this was a gun, free controlled zone. All I know is they're seizing on it to go after our Second Amendment. So Jesse Ventura, former Minnesota governor, best-selling author, a host of conspiracy theory, he joins us. He was on with us last week saying, yeah, they're coming after our guns. That was a quote by Governor Ventura, because I know that's what we gave the video headline on YouTube. Democrats are coming after our guns, as he said that they come after that side of our freedom. And I don't know his take. In fact, I was asking him during the break, and he said, let me just say it fresh on air, because this is Governor Ventura's first time since the shooting on Friday to be on the air. So here is the exclusive, because I want to hear your take. Governor, thanks for coming on.
Great to be here, Alex. Let me start off by saying this. The media coverage of this event was the worst I've ever seen in my lifetime, because we were pumped out so much information early on that all these media outlets sold to us, and then a half a day later, after telling us 30 times, we find out it's not true. And I think someone needs to hold the media accountable for when a tragedy like this occurs, that they quit looking for ratings points and they wait until they get official word and official what went on, who is who, until they talk to the authorities. And I was so confused by 12 hours later that I don't know what to believe anymore, because I was fed so much false information initially. Do you follow that, Alex?
But they told us it was Lee Harvey Oswald acting alone. I'm sure there's nothing going on here.
Well, not just that, but we were first told that the perpetrator's mom worked at the school. We were told that for a half a day.
Yes.
And it turns out she had no connection to the school whatsoever.
We were told 2 wrong names, and I reported it because they were saying it. 2 wrong names of people that didn't do it.
Exactly. They first said it was his brother, because they said it was Ryan who had done all this for 6 to 8 hours, and then all of a sudden it changed. And that's one of the things I have a great concern over, besides the tragedy itself, is the fact that our news media did not care whether they were reporting fact or fiction. You could clearly see they were like sharks in the bleeding water, wanting to trump any other media with any type of thing they were told, because clearly they were pumping out information that had not been substantiated in any way, shape, or form. And it makes it so confusing that when the truth, if the truth does come out, how are you going to know what you can believe and what you can't believe when you've been fed so much false information right out of the get-go? Now, having said that, let's move forward to the gun control. Okay. Now they're going to... I said something when I was in office that I'd like to change a little bit. I made a famous quote that you can't legislate stupidity. Well, I'd like to change that quote to you can't legislate stupidity or insanity. There's nothing you can do, there's no laws you can pass that can control those things. It's all part of living in a free society. Now, if the government wants to come down with this massive gun control on us, I think that they should have to first set the example themselves. And that is, we are without a doubt the largest arms sales country in the world. We sell arms to everybody. How many, all those arms we sell, what is the fatality rate in the end? All this third world weapons that we send throughout the world.
It's millions.
From the United States. How many people die because of all that? So if the government wants to impose gun control on us, they should start with themselves. They should lead by example. They should truly turn the United States into into the peace nation and stop this massive building of armaments that we propel throughout the world on a daily basis.
Well said, Governor Ventura. Let me get your take on this. Obama has launched drone strikes now in 8 countries, but he's a Peace Prize winner, so it's okay. Now they admit, even the LA Times, the New York Times admits our government's funding al-Qaeda to attack Syria. And then he goes and looks like he was fake crying to me. The point is...
Well, the point is, it ain't even him. We had the same thing under George Bush. That's the point, Alex. The president's just a figurehead, in my opinion. Nothing more. And because we had all these, like I laugh on this big investigation now in Libya, right? They're investigating because they initially made the wrong statement on what the attack was about. So now McCain's out there demanding this big congressional investigation over the tragedy shooting in Libya. Those 4 people died. Where was John McCain and where were all these elected politicians after the trumped-up, phony information we got on Iraq? All the lies we were told that were turned out to be lies, weapons of mass destruction, ties to al-Qaeda, the murder of the football player, Pat Tillman, the rescue of Jessica Lynch, all lies.
Yellow cake, aluminum tubes.
Where's the outrage on that, Alex? Where's the congressional investigation on the trumped-up intelligence that we were fed, the lies we were fed when we were put into the Iraq War?
I totally agree with you.
About that from these politicians.
Well, I totally agree with you. Getting back to the shooting, though, you've been a governor. We've seen these calls to disarm NFL football players. It gets more and more ridiculous. How do I lose my rights because somebody else does something wrong? That sounds like an authoritarian country.
Alex, they said that with this event now it's time to do something, correct?
Yes.
That's what we're all hearing. This is the final straw. The straw's broken. It's time to do something. I told them after Columbine, when I first became governor, I told them what needed to be done. No one would listen to me. And you know what that was?
Tell us.
We have hundreds and thousands of well-qualified military and police personnel out there that are retired. Qualified people. Train these people, put them in the schools, and you do it in a covering manner. You hire them as Bob the janitor. The kids don't need to know, but that janitor carries a weapon at all times concealed. 1 or 2, I don't care how many you need, 3 or 4, whatever it takes. And they work as janitors in the school while still providing security. When you look, if I'm a bad guy today, the first place I'm going to look to wreak havoc is to go to somewhere where I know I can get away with it.
Yeah, they advertise the public schools, and they teach the kids to huddle in a ball so it's easier to shoot them.
It isn't just that. They advertise that there's no protection. We have that problem here in Minnesota. We passed a conceal and carry. But yet stores put up signs stating no guns allowed in here.
Well, that's...
And wait, whenever I go into those places, I always turn to the person and I say, do you realize how stupid that sign is? For 2 reasons. Number 1, it lets any perpetrator know there's nobody in here that can harm them. And number 2, it takes a law-abiding citizen and separates them from their weapon. That's the worst thing you can do. In other words, if I pull up and I'm a conceal and carry, let's say hypothetically, and I'm armed, and I see this sign in the store, no guns allowed in here, well then I'm expected to what? Leave that weapon in the car, separate myself from it, and go into the store. In the meantime, someone could break into my car. They're obviously a criminal to begin with if they break into a car, and now they're armed with a weapon.
That's right.
And so separating, it's like what I was told with my protection dog. They said, don't ever separate from your protection dog. Don't send your protection dog in to clear the house, because then if the perpetrator's outside, you've separated yourself from your protection. You keep the dog with you at times.
You know, I remember now after Columbine seeing you on the news saying that, and I probably subconsciously was just thinking about what you had said, but I said on my Sunday show yesterday The answer is, because the feds say no guns in schools, well, they can't stop the sheriff's department. Sheriffs can deputize retired police officers, I mean, because we trust them to have guns as cops, and then you can have them where they work a few days a week. You'll have tons in every town that want to volunteer. They're like the old guys you see who volunteer to be crosswalkers for the kids.
Hey, I got a better idea, Alex. Let's bring our men and women home and end these wars, and we'll have enough money where we won't need volunteers.
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying...
Let's start taking care of our country. Obviously, we have major problems right here at home. It's time for the United States of America to pay attention to its own backyard instead of worrying about all the yards throughout this world.
I agree with you. I'm just saying they're going to say hand in all semi-autos, handguns, and rifles. They're now announcing they want to physically take them, Governor. They're now announcing they're just going to put you on a no-gun-buy list and then make you turn them in, no judge or jury. What is your take on these announcements being made by these senators and others that have their own bodyguards?
Well, of course, they're blowing smoke right now, and they're talking to me. If it's a politician saying it, rest assured he's saying it to secure his re-election. Because that's the only thing that the Dems and Repubs care about, is getting reelected and maintaining their power, their two-party dictatorship. But the point of the matter is, as I stated earlier, Alex, if they're going to impose any type of gun control on us, the citizens, then they need to impose it upon themselves first. They need to set by example. I'm all for living in a peace world, you know, but until they can convince me, I also stand that, and all this garbage they tell you about the Second Amendment won't affect your hunting and fishing and all that nonsense. It wasn't written for that. People never bring up the true reason it was written. It was written so that we, the citizens, would have a way to defend ourselves if our government became abusive.
Well, sure, you stay down in Mexico 4 or 5 months out of the year, and I know you've spoken to the fact that they have a total gun ban for the citizens down there and a violent crime rate, 4 times what the United States is. Almost 55,000 people dead, in the last 3-4 years, Governor?
Yeah, exactly. And Mexico, there's big signs when you cross the border. You can't even bring bullets in there. The control is beyond, and they have checkpoints. When I drive down the Baja, I have to go through 6 Army checkpoints. And that's what they're checking for, weapons. And yet the violence in Mexico, in many places, not all of Mexico, don't get me wrong, I don't want to throw a blanket. The country's beautiful. It's a wonderful
But the drug corridors...
Wonderful people. But the violence in places in Mexico is just out of control. And there's a country that practices gun control to the extreme. And so you clearly see it does not work.
Well, Governor, our last issue of the magazine on the cover says, "This man wants your guns," and it's an image of Obama on the cover. And we said, this came out three weeks ago, we said they will introduce the legislation, and we show their quotes where I understand, I hope it's smoke, but I've got to give you the bad news. They are claiming, and I've got the quotes in the magazine, that they are going to try to physically ban semi-auto handguns and rifles and make them be turned in. A, what is your take on that? And B, I believe it's going to cause a civil war if they try it.
First of all, they have no right to take my private property. I realize that the Supreme Court has given them that right in many cases, but, you know, if someone owns something, the government does not have the right to come in and take that from you. That's your private property, and it's probably on your private property. And if people fall for this and people accept, you know, I've always laughingly said when I have a gun safe that I've never come home and heard my guns going off in the safe. Don't people, let's put it in this context, Alex. How many people die of drunk driving every year? Thousands.
It's about 30,000.
Okay, that's huge. That's probably more people die of that than they do guns. I don't know. I haven't seen the statistics.
Well, that's auto accidents overall, but about half of them, well, the fatalities are usually connected to some type of drug.
Right. Well, okay. Now, are we going to hold Ford Motor Company responsible because some idiot out there decides to drink and drive and kill someone? Because they misuse that 2-ton projectile that can go 100 miles an hour, statistically more lethal than any gun. Now, you don't hear them going after the car companies. You don't hear them saying we're going to ban automobiles because they're misused at times, which they are. Now, granted, they're trying to do things to eliminate drunk driving, and kudos for doing that. But ultimately, what does it all come down to, Alex? It comes down to us as individuals. We have to make those decisions, and we bear complete responsibility for them. If you choose to use a gun wrong, you're the one at fault, not the gun. If you drive a car and you get drunk and plow in and kill somebody on a street corner because you're so blitzed and inebriated, it isn't the car's fault. It's the person driving the car.
I agree. Let me raise this point with you. It's been said by many that blaming guns for shootings is like blaming spoons for people being fat. Or did we ban dog ownership because Michael Vick was fighting dogs? I mean, that's this line of reasoning, and the states that have more gun control have higher crime rates because the criminals know they're safe. But let me give you the statistic. It's ABC News. Can you guys pull it back up? Last year and this year, we crossed the Rubicon. Now the #1 cause of death is not automobile accident. It's now suicide. They put our troops on psychotropics known to cause suicide. The insert admits it. There's ABC headline: suicide replaces auto crashes as top cause of death. And expanding now, we wonder why so many of these mass shooters are on the psychotropics that will make you a psychotic killer a percentage of the time. So why aren't we hearing anything about how dangerous Prozac and other drugs like this are?
Well, because naturally they're sold by the big pharmaceutical companies who are making huge profits. Can you imagine the headlines if they could prove that this kid was on pot when he did it?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that's all you'd hear then. But yet if this kid was taking some type of pill from the pharmacy to control his psychotic behavior, well, it's never the pill's fault, is it?
No, it's never the pill's fault. And they admit he was under psychiatric care, but they won't. I mean, they drug everybody now.
And again, here we go. And I know I'm sounding repetitious, Alex, but if we weren't involved in these wars, all the money we would have for health care, and health care also includes psychiatric care, because the only way you're going to stop this type of behavior, you have to get to the root of the problem, and the root of the problem is not guns.
Well, now they say his mother was a prepper, and so it's the fault of anybody that's prepared. Since when is being prepared bad? Look at Sandy. I mean, a month later, power was off in some areas. Look at Katrina. I mean, Governor, can government take care of us?
No. Well, they can if they lock us up. That's what people remember. What Benjamin Franklin said: those that will give up their liberty for security shall have and deserve neither. The only way government can protect you in this life is to imprison you, take away your freedoms, and put us under martial law. Now, and I know you said my quote at the beginning. I personally love my freedoms too much, and I'll put up with the fact that yes, you know, bad things happen, and the horrible things. I don't wish them on anyone. I wish we could live in a world that bad things didn't happen, but unfortunately they do. But I still will not give up my freedom to somehow, it's like the cartoon I saw where it's the mother and the father and the two children sitting at the dinner table, and they're all exclaiming at the same time, boy, I feel safe now. And then you look at the cartoon and they're all inside a barred cell.
Well, that's a quote from 1958 from Eisenhower. He said, security. I can give you security at Columbia University. Guys, pull up Eisenhower quote real quick on security and safety. He said, I can put you in a prison. But we all know that prisons aren't safe places to be. Any government claiming I'm going to take your rights to keep you safe, look out.
Exactly, because freedom is security. People need to understand that. If you don't live under freedom, then you're not secure at all, because that means, and this idea that we should all rely on our government to do everything for us is just ridiculous. It's just like I was talking to one of my former bodyguards, a state trooper with the Minnesota, who's still bodyguarding the current governor, Governor Dayton, and his father was a St. Paul police officer his whole life, and like he told me, unequivocally,
That's right.
You know, we don't have the ability, unless it's dumb luck. If you go up to any police officer, ask them, if you get into conversation with them, how many actual crimes have you stopped in progress? And maybe you'll run into one or two that have. And then ask them, how did you do it? Most of them will tell you it was dumb luck. I happened to turn left and saw the guy running out of the store with the TV set.
Well, I was about to say, I mean, I've lived in big cities and been all over, and I've only seen crimes being committed a few times. We all drive around just like cops. How many crimes do we see being committed?
Yeah, on a regular basis, I'm lucky if I see one a year. Maybe. I can't even think of a crime that I've seen on the top of my head right now.
Hey, listen, I'm not going to twist your arm, but we got to do like 10 more minutes on the other side because this is one of our last interviews probably with you this year before you go back down to Mexico. We got to come back and briefly talk about the TV show and also any other issues. In fact, we're going to break right now. But again, 10 o'clock Central tonight. When we come back with Governor Ventura, we'll talk about the TV show that deals with mind control briefly, and then he is off into the sunset until he returns back after the hard Minnesota winter from Baja, Mexico. Wish I could be down there broadcasting. So we'll be right back with former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura for just a few minutes after this quick break, and then we'll go to your phone calls and Obama's speech last night where he said they're coming after our Second Amendment because some Prozac head went haywire. Stay with us. This was going to be our last little visit while he goes away for the winter, but I was talking to Jesse. We may be able to twist his arm into one more little visit next week, but we'll see. He's got a lot to get done winterizing things before he goes to Mexico, obviously. Folks, there is so much to talk about. I'm going to give the number out after the governor leaves us here in 6 or 7 minutes. I'm going to get into the other news, but it is so opportunistic from my perspective, and I want to get to the TV show briefly, to know that Obama, because it's bad enough when Bush is warmongering. You know, I was a huge critic of Bush. I'm more of a libertarian, so I tend to lean towards the rhetoric of the Republicans. But like Governor Ventura says, they're all part of the same globalist club. It's all going the same direction. It's like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. But with the Democrats calling themselves peaceniks, calling themselves liberal, Thomas Jefferson was a liberal. Obama, the puppet, is no liberal. I mean, I would think of myself really as a liberal. I mean, I want more freedom. That means individual freedom. This nanny state is not liberalism from my perspective, and the grandstanding. You know, we read the headlines. They're introducing legislation to ban holding guns. Most guns are, quote, an assault rifle. They describe any semi-auto as an assault rifle. The ATF last year introduced a rulemaking saying they want to ban all bottom-loading shotguns. That's over 60% of those manufactured. We've shown you those press releases. They're going to go after the guns. And, Governor, my take is, does that hypocrisy strike you with Obama being such a warmonger and then having a peace prize? I mean, why not give him a Oscar for his crying? What's your take on that?
Well, again, our behavior, we talk about peace and all that to our own people in our own country, but throughout the world, who do you think's behind these uprisings? Who do you think supplies the weapons to all of these, whether they be guerrillas or established dictatorships or whatever it is? We do. So how can they, on one hand, tell us to be passive, tell us to give up our guns, give up our weapons, while our own government does nothing but sell weapons, and the private gun manufacturers, the majority of the weapons in this country, I'm sure, aren't even kept here. I bet you if you looked at statistics, and you'd know that more than I would, I bet you more weapons are exported from the U.S. than are here.
No, that's actually true. If you look at the numbers, it's the U.S. exports more than half. Depending on the year, it's about 55% of total arms, period, worldwide.
There you go. So if they want to come after our Second Amendment, let's eliminate that 55% of the weapons we send throughout the world that kill people. And trust me, these weapons sending out there, you think that only soldiers are being killed by them? The majority in all wars and uprisings are innocent civilian people, and how many children die? How many children do we, of course our media won't report on it, but if you go to Al Jazeera, you'll learn about it.
Oh, I've seen in the Libya bombardment, little girl with her lower mandible blown off, with her tongue flapping all over the place, crying, and about the same age as one of my small daughters, and it tears my guts out. And again, of all governments worldwide, all countries, all armaments, the U.S. is more than half of total world arms sales.
Exactly. And so if our government wants to lead by example, I'm all for it. If our government wants to lead by example, let them go first. Show us the example.
That's what I'm always saying about Ted Turner and all these people saying, you know, we should kill ourselves, there's so many people. He's got 5 kids. Hey, Ted, you go first.
Well, then, you know, that's the point. Anyway, quickly getting to the TV show tonight, it's going to be a real good one. I encourage people to absorb it up because it's going to entertain the hell out of you. It deals with mind control, and are there ways out there that bad people are able to do this? And believe me, when you see some of the people that I meet on this show, whether it's real or not, you're going to have great sympathy for these people, because these people that have been targeted, they believe they have. And so it's a very interesting show tonight, and I encourage people to tune it in and, you know, with an open mind and see what's offered to you and take from it what you do all my shows.
Getting into the TV show being censored, I was told by that writer for the Atlantic magazine you did talk to him, and he was thankful for that. But I've yet to see that published. It may have been. We should go look that up.
Well, let me go on the record and state this too, Alex. As much as we've said bad things about True TV, I told that writer from Atlantic when I spoke with him, I said, I want to commend True TV for having courage. Because they, you know, maybe they did pull 1 or 2 of my shows, but they showed all the rest of them. And I like to go back to that first year when I made the gentleman's bet, and I said, we're going to do these shows, but they're never going to see the light of day. Well, amazingly, True TV did put them on.
Well, I want to be clear.
They showed a great deal of courage. I
want to be clear. A. Smith Co., Michael Braverman working with you guys 3 seasons, great production company. And so I don't want to criticize them. In fact, I hope they're not mad at me.
And again, True TV put them on, Alex. You know, 23 of these 24 shows saw the light of day.
No, I know, but I mean, now you're kind of, I mean, you've always pointed.
No, I'm not, you know, like I said, I'll take the, do I wish they'd have shown them all? Absolutely I do. Do I wish that they would have kept me in one time slot all 3 years? Absolutely I do. But I still want to give them credit because I never believed these shows would ever be aired.
No. I totally agree with you that it's a victory it ever got on. My only question is, because I haven't even called them, I mean, I hope the production company isn't mad at me for bad-mouthing it.
I don't think so.
No, I mean, I'm just frustrated that 2 of the best episodes got pulled, the FEMA camp and the TSA. But I was surprised, like you said, that they ever allowed this on air. And we had that private bet against the rest of the people on the show. I agreed with you that none of it would ever air. So I agree. It's a big victory. Finally, I just Googled your name, search engine your name, to see if they ever ran that Atlantic story. They haven't yet, because I'm told it may be in the physical magazine. But here it is, Pioneer Press, Jesse Ventura lawsuit. He and Navy SEAL each claim the other is lying. But again, has the media covered the fact he has no eyewitnesses, but you do?
No, I doubt it. I don't know if they have or not. You know, that was in the I didn't even read it. It was in the Pioneer Press. I think somebody told me on Friday. I didn't even bother with it because, again, when it comes to my court case, I'm not going to try my case in the media. I'm trying my case in a courtroom when people are under oath and when people are sworn to tell the truth. Because, Alex, I have truth on my side. Nothing happened. The event never happened. And it's pretty difficult to perpetrate a lie in a courtroom. And so I just leave it at that. Let's go to court. And let the jury decide who's telling the truth, he or I.
When are we going to find out? I mean, when is this finally going to wash? A while?
Well, no, we're scheduled to be in federal court, I think, in June.
Well,
to an actual trial, unless, of course, there is a settlement in some manner, but we're on the docket for sometime in June.
Well, I want to commend you for going after this guy for your good name, because they're trying to demonize all of us truth seekers. And they're really scared of you, obviously, in a 2016 run. That's why they've been trying to demonize you. And, you know, News Corps, Rupert Murdoch, who says we should turn our guns in, they're behind this. They published the book. And it's just despicable how they've tried to assassinate your character, and it just is disgusting. So this may be the last time we talk until June, so if you're unable to come on next week, Governor, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Always a pleasure, Alex, and keep pumping it out there. Keep talking. You know, we still got our First Amendment temporarily. I'll know if I come back and you're off the air, then that's probably gone too.
All right, be safe and say hi to Terry.
Okay, I sure will. Bye, Alex.
All right, see you, Governor. All right, there goes Jesse Ventura. What an interesting person. Alex Jones here with some very important breaking news. The latest edition of InfoWars magazine, December 2012, is out. And no, we don't really cover people that think that the world is going to end on December 21st. We are predicting the world will not end. But we are predicting that the end of our free republic may take place if people don't wake up and get aggressive and angry and speak out against what's happening. This man wants your guns. That is the cover of the 60-page glossy magazine, jam-packed with information and the truth. And you know what they say, the truth will set you free. You can buy the magazine at cost in bulk in groups of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, right up to 100 to give everyone you know. And believe me, people will open this up. It is full of unbelievably powerful graphics, cartoons. We've got artist profiles on patriots out there that are exposing the globalists. And it's got several articles breaking down the facts that Obama and his globalist controllers want to disarm the American people and are going to try to ban all semi-autos. The facts are in this magazine, and this is the most important of the 4 issues we have ever put out. And when you do sign up for the subscription, you don't just get 12 in the mail. When supplies last of the previous issues, we will put back issues like the November issue, Zombies, Are You a Zombie? Breaking down how television has put the general public into a trance-like state. You will get that when you sign up for the next 12 issues in December of 2012. Now, you're out there watching saying, Alex, we know all about the New World Order, and yes, the magazine's a great thing, but why should we support it? Well, you're also supporting free speech and print 2.0. With the internet kill switches coming in and all the rest of this, it's important to have physical copies that are out there, just like the founders did in the 10 years leading up to the Revolutionary War in 1776. They put out their little primitive broadsheets printed on both sides, pointing out the crimes of the crown, and that helped organize and awake the public to finally win the physical victory when war and conflict unfortunately came. My goal is to expose the globalist and to win the info war so it doesn't become a physical war. We've seen Hillary Clinton saying that they're winning the info war. Top globalist Zbigniew Brzezinski says that nationalism is growing and that people are waking up against outside forces because of populism and alternative media. This particular issue of the magazine is the one to give friends and family. It's the one to put under the tree or in the stocking. It's the one to leave at church. It's the one to leave at the dentist office. This is the one, the December issue of InfoWars magazine with Ron Paul, the attack on the Second Amendment, the police state, the GMO takeover. It's all there and all available at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. Get your subscription or buy the magazines in bulk today. I'm Alex Jones signing off for InfoWars.com. Until next time, remember, if you're watching this, if you're receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.